Hey y'all, welcome back to my Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin Let's Play. My name is Rob, and I'm doing some post-commentary today. I just released a update video on what's been going on. Well, I haven't released any videos for a while, so yeah, if you're wondering about any of that, check that video out. But just real quick, doing post-commentary because when I recorded this I was still pretty sick and wasn't able to do any live commentary. So yeah, I went through the videos that I actually made while I was still ill and edited them down and cut out loading times and stuff like that, and decided I would just do some nice post commentary. So, continuing on with Dark Souls 2, I came down here in the mansion forgetting that I hadn't talked to Kale after killing the skeleton. That's what you have to do to prompt him to come back. So, I run off to do that right now. Still rocking my same dorky outfit, the cleric's, whatever, robes, and leather boots, and the funny explorer hat. Just for the added, it gives you additional luck, which helps with, it somewhat helps with item discovery, I think.
Really, isn't it? Such a map to be chiseled in stone. Oh, but one thing. I would not venture deep into the mansion. Now, I can't be certain, but I've heard disturbing noises. Something about it feels wrong. Just be careful, please.
Yeah, so you kill the skeleton, talk to him again, and there you go.
Perhaps we will meet again and discuss maps at our leisure.
Yeah, because that just sounds like so much fun. Just discussing maps. That, yeah. And of course, a archer, William Tell over here shooting me. Gotta put a stop to that with the Whomping Stick. And just gonna homeward bone on back to Majula. Get a little bit more dialogue from Kale before I continue with the rest of the video. And I think at this point, you know, once he returns back to this mansion, what he says next, I think, is pretty much the extent of his dialogue, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, hello again. You've made it. The map, I presume. Of course. Take a good look. Even more flames have appeared. I don't know what causes it.
I don't know, only the one flame is there.
It wasn't there when I came here before. I don't know what explains it.
Yeah, that second little line of dialogue he spoke,
about that flame.
I think it's a little mix-up.
It seems to fulfill something very precious, deep within the soul. Something essential. I would not venture far into that hole. It was blocked by a wall, something built long ago. But it was crumbling, and I finished the job. Now a foul sound echoes within. Did you see the flame?
A foul sound.
It wasn't there.
Like a duck?
I don't know what it...
I'm sorry, I couldn't resist.
Something...
But yeah, the little oddity there in his dialogue, the second little... When I talked to him the second time, he mentioned multiple flames when, you know, obviously there's only one flame, but even the first Dark Souls has some quirky little dialogue and mishaps like that, so, whatever. So, I purchased the Falconer's set. Well, not the whole set, just the armor. And equipped the... Those are leather boots I still have on? Yeah, I think so. So, going from Hades Tower of Flame, where you meet Alicia for the first time. I'm gonna go into a new area here that's gonna lead into No Man's Wharf. And end up having to divide that area into, I think, 3 videos total. It's a pretty big area for this point in the game, so anyway, take on some more old knights. He's all like, I'm gonna get you with my big sword, but I beat him down with a stick, because that's what I do. There's a few nifty little items here. Get a old knight halberd, which is one of the old knight weapons. They're all, pretty much all of them you can get are fairly strong with pretty abysmal durability. Yeah, and that's, I mean, it's really just a standard halberd with poor durability. I don't really see the appeal why you would use it, especially considering you get the regular halberd like in one of the first areas, but hey, whatever. If you want to use it, you do you. And we go down a level. There's fixing to be some standing water with a couple of enemies that are just kind of hanging around. But before we get to that, I'm trying to remember. That's the one quirk with doing post commentaries, because I try to remember like what it is I'm actually doing and I forget. Alright, so this enemy in the original Dark Souls 2, you didn't run into this guy till very close to the end of the game, but they pop up in different places in Scholar of the First Sin. They're not, terribly difficult to take out, obviously. But, yeah, just interesting that they're kind of spread out around in different places. Got some Sublime Bone Dust to strengthen the Estus Flask when I get a chance to go back to Majula. Nothing else over there, so gonna ride the elevator down to an even lower level. Get a little tickle in my throat. Recovering from being really sick. And then on top of that, there's pollen everywhere. Humidity. And just bluff. But it's all good. Y'all just forgive me if I clear my throat a few times. I'm not trying to sound gross or anything. Yeah, just kind of a useless little cubby right there for some reason. This particular area has a couple of little spots like that. Don't really know why. And meet our first conquistador hat guy that's hiding in the water. He was enjoying a nice soak until we walked by and messed up his whatever. There's one of the googly-eyed curse frogs. And what we do with those, we shoot them with a crossbow. Yeah. Yeah. I want to say that little phantom that ran up kind of spooked me a little bit, so I was like, get away. It's like, no, I was enjoying a nap in this fine water. You came along and woke me up, so I'm mad, but I put him down for his trespasses. Also new to the Scholar of the First Sin, another spot where you need a fragrant branch of yore. They just put those everywhere. Scholar of the First Sin, I don't know what the deal is with that. There are some useful items past him, so pretty sure I did it off camera. I ended up with a fragrant branch of yore and I went and got all that stuff. It was like a Estus Flask shard and the Knight set, the same one from the first Dark Souls, which still looks pretty cool in this game as it did in the other. And now that we're through with that area, we enter into the next place called No Man's Wharf. Get our first and only bonfire for the area. As big an area as it is, it's only got the one bonfire, strangely enough. Whereas an area later in the game called Huntsman's Copse, you know, it's a bit smaller, but it's got like 3 bonfires right there close to each other just for no reason, even though one would have sufficed just fine. But No Man's Wharf, this is I really like this area atmospherically. It has its annoying parts, and as you'll see, I'll suffer a couple of really stupid deaths. You know, just being very noobish and out of practice of Dark Souls 2. There's a lot of torches to light, and if you know anything about me, you know that I just absolutely have to light torches or I'll go insane and like pull all my hair out. Which is funny because I have a shaved head, so all these basic hollows just taking naps. You wake them up and they get really cranky. And then their dog comes after you. I encountered an angry dog today when doing some house hunting. That's one of the things I look for when picking out a house, which I think is important. And something I noticed that a lot of people just don't pay much mind to is, do the neighbors have really aggravating dogs that they just let run around and that bark at you nonstop whenever you go near like the fence or anything? I don't know the joys of neighbors, but it is what it is. Ended up not picking the house with the stupid dog. Got a shade in No Man's Wharf that was not in the original Dark Souls 2. Bradley of the Old Guard, if I just read that correctly. I don't know. It's pretty useful, but I'm not going to summon him yet. I like that the shades they brought into the Scholar of the First Sin edition all have better AI than the original summons that you can get in like the original Dark Souls 2. Lighten up some more torches. Doesn't actually do anything, it just kind of illuminates the area. And as dark as Dark Souls 2 can be, it's nice to have a little bit more light in places. When you can see what's going on, you can avoid ambushes. Like this one. Yeah. They got up from their naps angry, and I just put them right back down. Go back to sleep. Hush, little baby, don't you cry. I'm gonna hit you on the head with a club. Being extra cautious. Not remembering the exact enemy layouts, and he's just, here comes Dovahkiin like, yeah, I'm going to get you because I'm a Nord. He gets backstabbed. His Nordic heritage didn't save him. I know, it's stupid, but I have to make Skyrim jokes in this place. Get ourselves a Titanite shard. Always useful. It's a big improvement, in my opinion, of Dark Souls 2 from Dark Souls 1. Dark Souls 2 just throws upgrade materials at you half the time. I mean, you can get so many more like slabs and everything. It's so much easier to farm for upgrade materials, like the high end ones. I'm not talking about like just basic Titanite shards, whatever. I'm talking about like slabs and chunks and stuff like that. The game is much more generous. You're definitely encouraged to max out more weapons and just, you know, try a lot of different things, and I think that's cool. You know, maybe it goes against lore or whatever, but it is a nice gameplay consideration. And for all of Dark Souls 2's flaws, it does a lot of things right. Overall, I would say Dark Souls 2 is probably a lot less difficult than the first Dark Souls. However, I would also argue that Dark Souls 2 can be a lot more annoying. Not necessarily more difficult, just aggravating with certain things, like how some enemies have bullcrap hitboxes on their attacks, or they track a little better than they should, or there's no, like a lot of the basic enemies, there's no wind up. Like that was a big thing in Dark Souls 1. You know, every enemy, like they would rear back for like 10 seconds before they would try to hit you. And you know, that's like, okay, either hold up your shield, try to parry, or attack the enemy before they attack you. Dark Souls 2, now they just run up and just waylay the crap out of you, and it's a little more difficult to avoid damage. Got a little ambush here, all the little conquistadors all like, yeah, I'm gonna get you, get out of my turf. This is no man's wharf. So nobody's allowed but us. Nothing we can't handle. That's a funny part coming up here. I noticed the torch hollow, and I'm just sitting there thinking, like, he wasn't here in the original Dark Souls 2, and then Olaf just jumps down and it's all like, yeah, I dual wield the swords, and I specialize in the sneak attacks. But yeah. Not gonna fall for that again. Totally. Nah. Get myself healed up real nice and good. Get some more shiny things. Number one rule of Dark Souls, if you see a shiny thing, go get it. Period. That never has any bad consequences at all. This is just a torch hollow that, like, he's not hostile. He just is kind of there. In the original game, there was this, I don't know the name of the enemy, but it's an enemy that's, I think, pretty much just in No Man's Wharf. And you meet your first one right there. And they're mean and bad. And inflict bleed. But they're also scared of, like, fire or just light in general. So that might be Scholar of the First Sin's first, like, hint to you, like, hey, you know, maybe carry a torch in front of those things and they won't like it and they'll run from you. I don't know, though. Might be a stretch. To me, it feels like the Scholar of the First Sin edition overall tries to, like, fix a lot of the problems of the original game, and overall tries to be, for lack of a better term, a little bit nicer to the player. You know, don't tell, you know, Dark Souls 2 that, you know, it's Dark Souls. It's not supposed to be nice to anybody because it's, you know, super ultra hardcore game that only the most superb and immaculate gamers can play, because them's the rules, yo. What am I doing here? Just looking, panning the camera around. Who knows what was going through my head there. But here we go, lighting more torches up. Looking around, all befuddled like. And here's where I run into some problems for some reason. Whether I'm just rusty at the game or just sick and wasn't playing all that good. I've already demonstrated how rusty I can be playing Dark Souls 2, so. But I walk into this area and it gives me some problems. I actually die a couple of times here. End up losing some souls. But it's all good. Let's see, how do I die the first time? Something really stupid, and like I rolled through that oil and set it on fire where I couldn't get away. Oh yeah, death by like a whole pack of angry dogs. I'm trying to run like, oh, I can't run back over that, that's on fire. Let me try to S this. Nope. Yeah. It happens. So, Let's get back to where I was at supersonic speeds. Something I end up doing here, I go ahead and switch to a shield with 100% physical block, which helps a little bit. Has better stability. The Drangleic shield, which is one of the first, like, really, truly good shields you can get in the game. Not that the large leather shield is bad, but, you know, a shield with higher stability and 100% physical block, you know, it's much better. Only downside, it's a little bit heavier, but on this build I'm running right now, as it currently stands, you know, it's not so heavy that I'm fat rolling or anything, so no biggie. You know, all these same enemies, Vikings and their dogs, and napping conquistadors. Just fighting to get back where I was. Yep. Told you he wasn't going to trick me again. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on the government. I don't know. That was a stupid thing to say. So, the dogs come back. Try and, you know, spread them out. Almost die again like that, but no, that dogs don't kill me this time. It gets even better. Alrighty. Back into the fray. I'm thinking, alright, yeah, I'm just gonna pop these guys from a distance with my crossbow. Get that guy who throws oil urns. And the archer in the distance. It's a little bit difficult to hit. I can barely see him. I have to waste a few bolts actually trying to get him. He thinks he's smart, but I'm smarter. For like 2 seconds. Managed to get my souls back. And forget that that guy is just going to jump out of nowhere. So I managed to conquer him, and I get back to this guy, and he's just like, I am the Viking king of all combos. I will hit you into oblivion. So that happened. So at this point, I'm like irked. I'm like, dadgummit, grr. I'm ready to, you know, rage and throw my controller through the ceiling. Not really. I mean, it is Dark Souls. You gotta expect to die some. And then that happens. I get teamed up on by Leif Erikson and his roommate. So, back I go into fast mode. Get those few souls back. Get a little overly cautious there. Can you really be overly cautious in Dark Souls? I guess you can, kinda. There's a time to act aggressively. Time and a place for everything. And of course, you know, every time you run back, you have to make sure you clear out the enemies, because if you just run past them, they'll follow you. They'll all aggro once you walk past a certain point, and before you know it, you're swarmed. So, yeah. Close up of my character's beautiful face there. getting a lot of pieces of their armor and stuff, though. Which, to me, I actually like the Varangian armor set, if I pronounce that right. The Viking, Nord, Skyrim people set. There we go. You know, because Nord and Norse are totally the same thing. But then I decided to retreat from what I was doing and
that
talk to
might be
Lucatil.
You haven't changed a bit, have you?
Well, I kind of got a sex change.
The longer I am here, the more madness I discover. A wretched place indeed, but not without traces of its former glory. What could have caused such degradation?
Alduin. I don't know.
Ah, yes. I have not thanked you for humoring me the other day. This is for you.
For me? Oh, you shouldn't have.
I've no idea what it is.
Oh, how nice of you. You just give me your junk.
Our land of Mirror is surrounded by enemies and constantly at war.
Is it in the Middle East?
There is only one way up in Mirror. Join the Order and prove
That was awful. I
yourself in the
apologize.
battle. My family had little fortune and no name. I had to carve out a piece of the world for myself. With two things. My sword and my loyalty to my lord.
Yep. Can't do without that.
I was raised to wield a sword from birth. Life was hard, but I never gave it a second thought.
I bet it was hard
I
holding
had
a sword as a
swift
baby.
success on the battlefield and quickly attained respectable stature. And then
Lucatil, the warrior toddler.
And then I came here to... Have you heard of the undead? These poor souls affected by the curse.
Yeah, I know a thing or two about that.
An undead gradually loses his humanity until his wits degrade completely. Finally, he turns hollow and preys upon others. And a hollow can never be human again. One can skirt this wicked fate only with the help of the souls found here. Assuming, of course, that the legends are true. I can only hope that they are.
And she snatches her mask off. I didn't think to get a close-up of her, though.
I'm sorry to burden you with talk of my fate. I suppose I've grown weary these days.
Oh, it's all good, Lucatil.
I'm sorry. I suppose I've grown...
Well, y'all, I'm about to cut it here. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you soon with more Dark Souls 2, Scholar of the First Sin. Until then, be safe, be well, y'all take care.